3 years ago, my life looked completely different. I was stressed, reactive, constantly feeling behind, and honestly, kind of miserable. But I wasn't doing anything dramatically wrong. I was just living like most people live. Then I discovered something that changed everything: the power of silent habits. Not the obvious ones everyone talks about, like waking up early or drinking more water. I'm talking about the subtle, like almost invisible habits that compound quietly in the background until one day you wake up and realize you've become a completely different person. Today, I'm going to share the 15 habits that transformed my life so quietly I didn't even notice it happening until people started asking, "What changed about you?" Habit 1. The 2-minute rule for everything. The first habit sounds almost too simple. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. I learned this from David Allen's Getting Things Done. But here's why it's life-changing. It's not really about the 2 minutes. It's about training your brain to stop procrastinating on small things. When you consistently handle small tasks immediately, responding to that text, filing that document, putting that dish in the dishwasher, something magical happens. Your mental load decreases dramatically. You know that feeling of having 47 tiny tasks floating around in your head? The 2-minute rule eliminates most of them. And here's the kicker. When your mind isn't cluttered with small stuff, you have more mental space for big stuff. I started doing this 6 months ago, and people now describe me as really organized and on top of things. But I'm not doing anything heroic. I'm just not letting small tasks pile up. Habit 2. The evening review ritual. Every night before bed, I spend exactly 5 minutes asking myself 3 questions. 1. What went well today? 2. What could I have done better? 3. What's the most important thing for tomorrow? This isn't journaling, it's strategic reflection, and it's quietly made me more intentional about how I spend my days. Most people live reactively. They wake up, respond to whatever's loudest, and go to bed feeling like the day happened to them. The evening review flips this. You start living proactively. After a few months of this habit, I noticed something. I was making better decisions during the day because I knew I'd be reviewing them at night. It's like having a gentle accountability partner who happens to be your future self. Habit 3. The art of single tasking. This one's controversial because we live in a multitasking world. But here's what I discovered. When you focus on one thing at a time, you don't just do better work, you become a different kind of person. I started with something simple. When I'm eating, I just eat. No phone, no TV, no book, just the experience of eating. Then I expanded it. When I'm in a conversation, I'm fully in the conversation. When I'm working on a project, that's all I'm doing. The transformation was subtle but profound. People started commenting on how present I seemed. Conversations became more meaningful. My work quality improved dramatically. But here's the deeper impact. Single tasking trains your brain to focus deeply in a world designed to scatter your attention. In 10 years, this might be a superpower. Habit 4. The 10-10-10 decision framework. Before making any decision, big or small, I ask, how will I feel about this in 10 minutes? 10 months? 10 years? This habit has saved me from more bad decisions than I can count. That impulse purchase that seems great in 10 minutes, usually regrettable in 10 months. That difficult conversation you're avoiding, more painful in 10 months than it would be in 10 minutes. That skill you're thinking about learning, incredibly valuable in 10 years. The 10-10-10 rule forces you to think beyond the immediate emotion and consider the compound effects of your choices. I started using this for everything. What to eat, how to respond to emails, which opportunities to pursue. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, my decisions got better. My life got more aligned with what I actually wanted. Habit 5. The energy audit practice. This one changed everything about how I spend my time. Once a week, I do what I call an energy audit. I list everything I did that week and mark each activity with a plus, 0, or minus based on how it affected my energy. Plus equals gave me energy 0, neutral equals drained my energy. Then I ask, how can I do more plus activities and fewer activities? What I discovered shocked me. Some activities I thought were relaxing, like scrolling social media, were actually draining. Some activities I thought were work, like learning new skills, were actually energizing. This habit slowly but surely shifted how I structure my days. I started saying no to energy-draining commitments and yes to energy-giving ones. The result? I have more energy now than I did 5 years ago, despite being busier. Habit 6, the preemptive no strategy. I started saying no to things before people even asked. Let me explain. Instead of waiting for requests and then deciding, I proactively communicated my boundaries and priorities. I'm not available for meetings before 10 a.m. I don't check email after 7 p.m. I only take on one new project per quarter. This seems small, but it's revolutionary. Instead of being reactive, constantly defending your time and energy, you become proactive. You design your life instead of just responding to it. The silent transformation, people started respecting my time more. They stopped making unreasonable requests because they knew my boundaries up front. And I stopped feeling guilty about saying no because I'd already communicated my limits. Habit 7, the upgrade question. Whenever I'm about to buy something, I ask, what's the next level up and is it worth the difference? This applies to everything, from coffee to courses to cars. Sometimes the answer is yes, the $50 course versus the $200 course. If the $200 one is significantly better and I'm serious about learning, it's worth it. Sometimes the answer is no, the $30 wine versus the $15 wine, probably not worth doubling my cost. But here's what this habit really does. It makes you think strategically about value instead of just price. And over time, this mindset transforms how you approach everything, not just purchases. You start asking, what's the next level up in my career, my relationships, my skills? And you become someone who naturally gravitates toward higher quality in all areas of life. Habit 8, the assumption check protocol. Before getting upset about anything, I ask, what am I assuming that might not be true? That person who didn't respond to my text. I was assuming they were ignoring me. Maybe they're just busy. That colleague who seems dismissive. I was assuming they don't like me. Maybe they're dealing with something personal. That project that's not going as planned. I was assuming it should be easy. Maybe it's supposed to be challenging. This habit has dramatically reduced my stress and improved my relationships. Instead of creating stories about other people's motives, I started getting curious about what might actually be happening. The silent transformation? I became someone people feel comfortable around because I don't make them wrong for everything. And I became much more resilient because I stopped taking things personally that weren't personal. Habit 9, the future self consultation. Before making decisions, I imagine sitting down with my future self from 10 years in the future and asking for advice. What would 35-year-old me tell 25-year-old me about this career choice? What would 45-year-old me tell 35-year-old me about this relationship decision? This isn't just imagination, it's accessing wisdom you already have but don't usually tap into. Your future self has perspective you don't have right now. They can see the long-term consequences of short-term decisions. They know what actually matters and what doesn't. This habit has guided me toward better long-term thinking and away from short-term temptations. And the crazy part? The advice is usually obvious once you ask the question. Habit 10, the gratitude-specific practice. Instead of general gratitude, I'm grateful for my health, I practice specific gratitude. I'm grateful that my legs carried me up 3 flights of stairs without pain today. General gratitude is nice. Specific gratitude is transformative. When you get specific, you start noticing things you previously took for granted. You become aware of the thousands of small things going right in your life that you never acknowledged. This habit has made me genuinely happier, not in a forced positive thinking way, but in a deep appreciation for reality way. And happiness, it turns out, is contagious. When you're genuinely grateful, people want to be around you more. Habit 11, the learning capture system. Whenever I learn something useful, I immediately write it down in my own words. This transforms passive consumption into active learning. Habit 12, the relationship investment strategy. Every week, I proactively reach out to someone in my network, not because I need something, but just to maintain the relationship. Habit 13, the environment design principle. I constantly ask, how can I change my environment to make good choices easier and bad choices harder? Habit 14, the progress documentation. Habit, I take photos or notes of my progress on long-term goals. Seeing tangible evidence of growth is incredibly motivating. Habit 15, the daily systems check. Each morning, I ask, what systems can I improve today? Instead of just, what tasks do I need to complete? Here's what I want you to understand. None of these habits are dramatic by themselves. You won't notice massive changes in the first week or even the first month. But habits compound. Small, consistent actions create exponential results over time. The person I am today, more focused, more intentional, more resilient, more connected, isn't the result of one big change. It's the result of 15 small habits practiced consistently over time. And here's the beautiful part. These changes happened so gradually that I didn't feel like I was forcing myself to change. I just became someone different, almost without noticing. Don't try to implement all 15 habits at once. Pick one, the one that resonates most with you, and commit to it for 30 days. Master one habit completely before adding another. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to be consistently better. Your future self is counting on the habits you build today. Which habit are you going to start with? The transformation is already beginning. You just don't know it yet. Like, subscribe, and comments in the video.